Hello, everyone. Welcome to the REDX Podcast. My name is Andrew, and I am pumped for our guest today. Her name is Nichole LaVigne, and she is a powerhouse agent in the Las Vegas market with nearly 20 years of experience and so many amazing insights. She's been in the industry since 2006. So she's a seasoned pro. Not only is she a seasoned pro, but she has navigated all the crazy ups and downs that we've seen in the market in the last 15 or 20 years, including the 2008 crash, the COVID pandemic, and now the recent NAR settlement. So she's seen it all. Today, we are going to dive into how Nichole not only survived all those crazy ups and downs, but how she absolutely thrived throughout the years. She started by embracing technology like REDX. She stayed razor focused on her business. She talks about how her mindset contributed to that success. She shares her daily routines, her affirmations, her gratitude practices, and she also sheds a little bit of light on how the recent NAR settlement could impact agents, along with some strategies to adapt and stay on top of your market despite those changes. So for all you new agents out there, for all you seasoned agents, she's going to break down so many amazing things. She's going to set realistic expectations, why the grind is so important, especially in those early years, and how all of that was so critical to her long-term success. So before we jump into all of that and get started with the podcast, I just wanted to take a quick minute to share an amazing resource that we've just put together for all of you prospecting agents out there. It is our complete objection handler e-guide with free prospecting objection handlers for all of REDX's lead types. I'm going to show you what it looks like here on screen. You may have seen our new script ebooks on our product pages. Well, we've gone a step further. We've optimized and gathered so many more objection handlers, put them all in one place. That way you can have better conversations and set more listing appointments. You've got objection handlers for any occasion, for all the lead types. It's your playbook for better conversations and more appointments. So if you are interested in downloading that objection handler e-guide, you can do that at redx.bz/handleit. Again, that is redx.bz/handleit. I put that up on screen there. You can download those objection handlers, keep them for as long as you want, use them on your calls, learn those, and really get the most out of every call you make to your REDX lead. So that's it from me. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know I sure did. So let's get to it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the REDX Podcast. Welcome back. If you are a return viewer or listener, we're so excited to have you here. And I'm especially excited for our guest today, Nichole LaVigne. She's out of Las Vegas. She's an amazing real estate agent. And this is the first time she's been on the podcast. So I'm really excited to get a fresh take on things, some new strategies, a new story from a new agent. Nichole, how you doing today?
I'm so excited to be here, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I love that. Well, we're excited to have you. Just real quick, before we really dive in today, Nichole, I want to tell our audience, please, as always, like and subscribe. We go live every Thursday at 1:30 Mountain Time. So join us there. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Join us on YouTube, on Facebook, whatever works for you. And please chime in, leave some comments, leave some chats, and we'll do our best to get back to you there. So Nichole, let's jump in, and I just want to learn a little bit about you. Let's give our audience some of your history, how you got into real estate, how long you've been in real estate, and what you're up to these days.
What a great question. So actually, I am celebrating April of 2006. So this is my anniversary month of 19 years of being a member of the Las Vegas Board of Real Estate. So if you do the math on that, I've been selling since the crash, 2006. It's been a wild ride, an adventure. I run a very small team here in Las Vegas. We're very efficient. I'm the primary listing agent. We have a couple of showing agents, and we always take great care of our customers because we run so efficiently. We specialize in residential, luxury, investors, all things residential real estate.
You name it. I love that. So, and 19 years, that's super impressive. Congratulations. That's an amazing career in real estate there. Let's talk a little bit about that because the market is always changing. It's always evolving. things are obviously much different now than, they were then, but there's maybe some similarities. How have things evolved and changed since you got started in '06? Maybe with highlighting kind of, that rocky period of '08, '09, and then even the pandemic, maybe some similarities there, and then what we're dealing with and looking at in the market now.
Yeah, I was thinking before I went on the podcast, what year did REDX begin as a company?
I think officially in 2003, but we really got started rolling with some of our more sophisticated technologies probably around when you got started, I want to say.
Right, because I was thinking about this, and when I got started in the business, we were basically like some coaches will say, we're handed like a phone and a desk and like a pat on the head, good luck. And there wasn't really any technology. So
right.
I just kind of had to figure it out. And the market was literally crumbling around me. I was watching other agents' cars get repoed in the parking lot. And I'm like, my first year in the business, like, holy crap, what do I do? And so there were no lead services. There were no auto dialers. We had title companies that gave us lists of homeowners we could call. But here in Las Vegas, 80% of them were upside down in their mortgage. So those weren't always ideal conversations,
right.
Even though some of them did need our help and they just didn't want to talk about it. It was tough times and embarrassing. And then I would troll Craigslist. Anybody remember Craigslist?
Oh, yeah.
And I would look for rent by owners because they were usually upside down too and were struggling if they didn't have tenants, or for sale by owners or anything like that. So yeah, I'm dating myself here, but like that was the only data resources we had to go off of. And I worked every source because failure wasn't an option for me. And then of course I discovered REDX a few years into my career and I was like, geez, this is so much easier.
Absolutely. Well, that's and we love hearing that. And I think a lot of agents who found REDX around the time that you did expressed something similar, where it was, I woke up at 5 a.m. every morning to go find the names from the MLS or find the names on Craigslist, cross-reference those numbers with, what's available out there, cross-reference that with the DNC list. So I didn't call, and then hand dialing every number along the way. Right.
Yeah. That's how it was done. There was no other way.
Tedious and exhausting, but that's great that you found REDX, and it's great that things changed. And since you found REDX, how did that transform your business? Did things get? Obviously they got a little bit easier, but after the recession, how did things change or evolve, and how did your business grow leading up to where we're at now?
Yeah, well, during that time, I keep hearing from a lot of agents that this is a tough market. I got news, guys. It's not a tough market at all. During that time, we had 27,000 homes on the market. Just wrap your head around that for a minute. And the average days on market was 9 months.
Wow.
So, yeah, you would take a buyer out and they would be like, oh, I don't know. There's probably 10 more we can look at tomorrow, right? And there was. So, and then they would make an offer and a week later, the house on the street was $20,000 less and they'd cancel and want to go look at that. So it was absolute mayhem, but, we developed some really strong skills to navigate all of those rough waters, just like we're going to do now with things adjusting and changing. And certainly our inventory levels, at least here in Las Vegas, are still very low. So the times are not nearly as tough as they once were. So having all of this amazing technology and dialers at our fingertips, it's really like just tweaking those conversations a little bit to navigate these new waters, and we keep doing business as usual.
Right. And I love to hear that. And it's great to hear that perspective from someone who's been in the industry long enough to know that it can always be harder. It has been harder in recent living memory. And that even though the pandemic made things so easy for so many agents, right, things are different now, but like I said at the beginning of the podcast, things are always changing. Things are always evolving in flux. And just because they're different than they were 2 years, compared to 2 years ago, doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Doesn't mean it's doom and gloom. So I want to kind of stay on this topic of reasons agents are worried and giving them some reassurances to maybe why they don't need to be as worried as they think with the recent NAR settlement, right? Can you speak to that a little bit? How you're reacting to that, how other agents you're talking to are reacting to that, and maybe some advice or some strategies on how agents should be approaching that?
For sure. So, I mean, I think the first and most important thing to keep in mind is this isn't approved by a federal judge yet. I mean, this is still all very loose boundaries of possibilities that could, might, maybe happen.
Right.
So, reminding ourselves to keep our emotions between the lines, keep things under control, and just keep developing the skills that you need as an agent to give your clients the absolute best service possible and remaining in your daily habits or routines. The agents that I find that are most emotional when I'm coaching are the ones that don't have those daily habits, routines, affirmations, gratitudes, and skills. So if you're upset as an agent and you're wondering why this is bothering you so much, I would invite you to look at what you can add into your daily schedule to control your mindset, work on your skills, and just develop a consistent daily habit to work, right? Like it may not be as easy as it once was where you show up and open a door and don't say anything stupid and get a deal.
Right.
It's going to change a little bit. And I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. There's going to be a higher minimum standard for agents to maintain themselves in this business. And I mean, isn't that what our customers deserve anyway?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And from your perspective, is this something that's going to really impact sellers agents a lot? Because from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, it's mostly going to affect maybe buyers agents, maybe the negotiations there. But as a listing agent, not a whole lot is even going to change in the end, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, the truth is that commissions have always been negotiable. There's never been a set standard.
Right.
I won't go on record and say this whole lawsuit is nonsense because I don't know all the details of it.
Sure.
But I know the way I've conducted my business, and I've turned down listings where someone said they didn't want a co-op, and that's okay. You have a choice in your business how you want to conduct. And if a seller's unreasonable, if they're overpriced, if they're not willing to pay the fee that you need, or they're not, listening to what you direct them to do in the market, that's okay. Another agent will list them. So you always have a choice of an agent of who you want to work with. And they always have a choice as a seller on what they're willing to spend for your services or to cooperate with other brokerages. They've never had to, they never will have to. And if they choose not to, you get to understand that there's a conversation or a script behind that says, may I show you, Mr. Seller, how this could put you at a disadvantage to other listings in the marketplace. And if they still don't want to, that's okay. They're not wrong. It's not illegal or not appropriate. It's their choice, and you can choose to take the listing or not to.
Right. I love that perspective. And I think that's very comforting to a lot of agents out there, because especially like you said, there's nothing's been decided on yet. There's not an official ruling, but there's a lot of, I don't know, I'll even go as far as to call it fear mongering, right? A lot of people's making this a big, scarier deal than it needs to be. But if you focus on, like you said, the habits, the routines, the positive mindset, all those things that you probably hear from coaches and agents all the time, but if you're not actually doing them, you won't feel the difference, right? So on that note, can we jump into some of your mindset, your routine, some of the habits that you have implemented and I assume have sustained for the last 19 years to, stay where you are today?
For sure. I was blessed to be in a strong coaching program most of my career. And in that, I've always surrounded myself with really, one of my affirmations actually is I only surround myself with positive, powerful, and inspiring people. So again, if I'm coaching and some people are listening to this, really sit down and look around at your circle and how you're spending your time and who you're spending it with. And do they fit that 3 criteria, powerful, positive, and inspiring? Because if you're feeling anxious and there's drama going on, like that's, in my experience, usually the source. So back to your original question, I start, I didn't wake up one day with all these habits, right? Like I developed them over time. But the first habits that I developed was the skill of role play or practice, script practice. And that can look like any of several things. It could be reading through your script by yourself every day. It could be writing it out. People learn differently. Some people write it out once a day or 5 times a day. It can be chanting it out loud, in your car, driving after you drop the kids off at school. It could be with a partner where they do the script and then you do the script. So that was the first really strong skill or habit that I developed, was just to role play and practice my scripts. every day. And I started with one script a month. And then the next month I would work on another script and so on and so forth. And the cumulative effect takes over, right? If you go to the gym once, you're like, geez, I don't see any results. But if you go to the gym for 90 days, you're going to see something changing.
Right.
So that was the first thing. Mindset wise, the first thing I did was turn off the news. And that was the most powerful thing I've probably ever done in my business. And I know like it still sneaks in on our phone and it does different things, but unsubscribe to all those like news alerts. Don't turn it on at 6 o'clock. I go to my parents' house. My dad loves to watch the news. I won't even sit in the living room with them if it's on. I mean, it really can be so infectious to like just destroying your mindset and causing stress and anxiety in your life as a whole. So, and trust me, if something terrible happens, I lived here through the October 1st shooting. I woke up, I had 20 text messages from my friends around the country and whatever. I knew what was going on because I went to sleep before it happened before. Like if something really terrible happens that you need to know about, it's going to affect you, somebody's going to call you and tell you. So you're not missing anything. And I don't miss anything. So that was my first mindset activity. From that, I developed daily affirmations. I have an affirmation partner twice a week that we it sounds so silly, but we just tell each other how great we are and repeat our affirmations to each other. And it's a lot of fun. And then I have a daily text gratitude group. And gratitude is really, that's something I've just done in the last 3 or 4 years. That's really been a great game changer. And then, of course, your physical health. Having some level of exercise. I understand people have different abilities and challenges they're facing, but even just going out at noon and standing in the sun for a few minutes or walking around the backyard or walking around the block, it can be such an energy changer physically for you, which then affects your mind.
I love that. And so far we've talked about a lot of kind of high level stuff, right? Mindset, routine, your history and what people are afraid of, the NAR settlement. I kind of want to, transition into some of the day-to-day nitty-gritty, starting with just a very simple question. Do you still prospect? Because a lot of people, their philosophy is one day I want to graduate from the grind being calling every day. I want to run a business totally on repeat and referral, totally on my sphere of influence. Is that you, or are you still actively prospecting for business every day?
I am still actively prospecting. I don't make as many contacts a day or a week as I used to. And I think that's a really important thing to understand if you're newer in this business, is that it's easy to look at the agents that have been in the business, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And it's like, oh, it's so easy for them. Or, but like you can ask my kids who are now grown, but it's like, they remember role playing my scripts with me. Like they remember I was on the phone at 7:45 and no one could interrupt me until 11:30. And, there were days we would do an evening session or a Saturday session. We did 50 contact days, 100 contact days, because I needed to build my database. Now, 60%, 19 years later, it didn't take a full 19 years, but around between the 5 and 10 year mark, about 60% of my business comes from referrals, database, past clients.
Okay.
And that's, from what I hear, pretty national average right now. But if you don't keep, kicking that tire down the road by adding new people to your database, because people move away, people pass away, whatever it happens to your database, or they just don't move every, 5, 10, 15 years. If you don't keep adding new people to that database in some way, it will fizzle out. So that's why I'm still prospecting 20 contacts a day. And I call pretty much any lead source that you put in front of me.
Amazing. I love that. So 20 contacts a day is what your current goal is, right? And that's to sustain that. I guess it would be 40% of your business from going out and hunting and all that stuff and prospecting. Is that realistic for, let's say, a new agent, putting yourself back in, or putting yourself into the shoes of a brand new agent today with the technology, with everything we have, right? Obviously, they don't have to go comb Craigslist like you did, but if they're getting on REDX, if they're getting familiar with the dialer, what should they expect, and what is a pretty realistic goal for them as far as contacts now versus maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, right?
Yeah, I mean, and the answer to that depends on your time commitments. If you're working another job, obviously that can cause some conflict, but we'll just assume a full-time agent that has a full 8-hour workday. I mean, if I were coaching them, it would be a minimum of 3 open houses a week and a minimum of 20 contacts a day. But if they don't have any appointments, they should really get back on for another 2 to 3 hours and hit another 20 or 30 in the afternoon, a 50 contact day. If you're new, if you're 100% committed to growing your business, that's what I would invite you to do. If you're part-time, if you can set aside a lot, 2 to 3 hours to make 20 contacts a day, it's going to be a good basis for you to get rolling.
Success in real estate is directly correlated with how many conversations you have. The more conversations and connections you have with the right people, the more deals you'll close. This is why REDX offers specialized communication tools like our Power Dialer to help you have more conversations in less time. The Power Dialer is a powerful software that automatically dials approved lists of phone numbers so you can avoid the hassle of tediously dialing by hand. And with features like call recording, voicemail drop, time zone protection, and spam call monitoring and remediation, you can save time, earn more money, and stay focused while you prospect. Plus, with REDX's superior data quality, you can dial more than 80 leads per hour to connect with twice as many homeowners in half the time, giving you as many opportunities to connect with transaction-ready homeowners as possible. Starting at just $59.99 a month, you can dramatically increase the amount of conversations you have. Go to redx.com to learn more.
What does your schedule look like? Are you kind of a 8 to noon prospector? Do you break it up mornings and afternoons? What does that look like?
It's a great question. So I do lead an online prospecting group. It's on a West Coast time zone. People can message me or whatever if you're interested in. It has an accountability level. I know some of the groups are just anybody comes and goes when they want, but ours has a little bit of an accountability level. So because I lead that group, I obviously don't get to flake out ever. And so I'm generally on there around 8 a.m., maybe a little bit before, maybe a little bit after, depending on the day. But I'm on generally from 8 to 11 a.m. On that Zoom prospecting group. And as many of us have moved our home offices, so that keeps me accountable. And then, it'll fluctuate. If I just set a new rule this week on April 1st. If I don't make my 100 contacts a week, I get to work Saturdays. So I'm not happy about that. So I'm really jumping on in the afternoons if I fall short in the morning.
Okay. I love that. And I think that's important for agents to hear, because I think a lot of new agents go 3 hours a day. Are you kidding me? Like, aren't there better ways to go get business? And, I've talked to a lot of experienced agents like you, and that's even a minimum for a lot of people, right? It's kind of the gold standard is, like you said, 8 to 11, 8 to noon, and then take care of your appointments and other activities in the afternoon. And that's kind of the way to do it. So you mentioned earlier that you call all lead types, which I love. It's great to meet a well-versed agent who can have conversations with anyone, no matter their situation. Do you have a favorite lead type, or what does your schedule look like as far as the order that you call those leads in?
Good question. I laugh because I'm an old school hunter, right? Like, I love the chase. I have this beautiful, robust database of like 3,000 people, but I would rather chase an expired or a FSBO all day long than call them. But I do call them. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
It's just funny the way some of us are wired. And there's no right or wrong in this. As long as you're making outward calls, you're making progress forward. So my typical schedule, and I keep a checklist. I have it here. Oh, here it is. I keep like a daily checklist, and I write down at the bottom my lead sources. So my goal right now is to make sure I touch at least 4 lead sources a day, because otherwise I get stuck rolling around in expireds, withdrawns, old expireds, FSBOs, and old FSBOs. So I may have to make sure that I hit at least 2 other lead sources. So this morning I started with Sphere of Influence, which is very unusual for me. But anyway, it'll be 8 a.m. expireds, new for sale by owners. I hit those first in the morning between 8 and 9 because I want to be first. Just like when you go fishing, you want to be the first to cast your line in the pond before all the ripples start taking effect from the other fishermen. And then once I'm done with them, then I will move on to probates, past clients, hot leads, just listed, just sold, circle prospecting, wherever the day takes me. As long as I hit at least 2 more and hit my 20, I'm good.
Awesome. And a lot of people, I'm sure you've encountered this, tend to avoid, and I love your attitude here of like, I like hunting and chasing and doing some of the more, rigorous prospecting with these, I would say sometimes combative or angry or upset leads like expireds and for sale by owners. That's kind of the reputation they have, right? I can do it on my own, or, oh, my last agent failed me. How are you any different, kind of a thing, right? Pretty standard objections there. Can we dive a little bit into your dialogues and your scripts and go maybe a review or even do a quick role play about what you say specifically to expireds and for sale by owners? Do you follow a very strict script, or are you pretty flexible? What's kind of your strategy there?
I mean, I grew up and learned Mike Ferry scripts, which are all, free online, not proprietary by any means. And so I pretty much follow that script, but I have practiced them and developed the skill, and not even just practicing them, because once you call them, that is practice, and you get better and better and you're more comfortable in your skin. So I will go a little deeper and ask them additional questions, even a little confrontational if necessary, because I like to play the hang up game, which is the first person to hang up loses. So I am a master at continuing to ask questions, and they're either going to engage me, because I have an old theory that the angrier they are, the more they need my help. I don't take it personally by any means. So the madder they are, I'm just going to keep digging in and being like, well, it sounds like, you had a bad experience. What happened? Like, let them get it out. Like, let's get through that dirty, musty, smoky air and clear the air, and then get to the root of the problem. You need to sell your home, and that's exactly what I specialize in.
That's amazing. And when you play this hang up first game, how often do you get just flat out hung up on, or do most people hang on the line as an opportunity to try and chew you out or get angry, Believe
it or not, it's probably about 50-50. Whereas, and I think that's where, that grit kind of kicks in, of like, most agents will get scared. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And they'll hang up first. Well, you lose when you do that. And so I know I'm not hanging up. So if they're still on the line with me, we're going to get through this. And it's not like confrontational, like a fight. Right. It's me following a pattern that I've learned through my scripts of listening, number one, repeating what I hear. What I heard you say was, and then asking another question. So, we can role play it if you want. But, they'd say like, well, I'm not selling anymore. I can understand that. I see that the property is off the market now. I hear you saying you're no longer selling. What happened? It's a simple pattern. And then they're like, it's none of your business what happened. And I'm like, I agree with you. It isn't my business. If I could show you a way to get the money you wanted in the next 90 days, would you be open to meeting for 15 minutes? And it just goes on until they hang up or they set an appointment.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. All right. Well, great. This is, this has been a really good conversation. We're getting close on time here, but I want to give you an opportunity to first off leave our audience with any last golden nuggets, any last final advice that you have for them today, and then give you a chance to let our audience know where they can find you, if you have any groups or resources that you'd like to share.
For sure. I think whether you're an experienced agent, an agent that's, just kind of having a little bit of a lull right now or nervous about what's about to happen, or a brand new agent that just got their license, my advice to you as an old school agent would be shut out the noise, put your head down, and just get to work. There is so much business out there to be done. There are buyers and sellers out there every single day that need your help, and it's your job to find them. So that would be my advice for people moving forward. If you want to connect with me in Las Vegas, if you have a great referral for us, we will take good care of them like they're our family. You can find me on Instagram, Nichole with an H, Las Vegas. I'm on Facebook, both my team, the Nichole LaVigne group, and me personally. I do run a Facebook group called Real Estate Inspired. If you search groups, we do live role play every Wednesday on there. So if you're interested in being featured doing live role play, or if you are not quite where you have role play partners or just want to grab some extra skills and script practice, we do everything from pre-qualifying buyers and buyer presentations to expireds to past clients, all great agents from around the country donating their time. And it's a lot of fun for me to moderate it like you're doing right now, Andrew.
Awesome.
And I think that, and then the West Coast Powerful Prospectors Zoom prospecting group is also something that we run. And We add members in July and January, but if you're interested, let me know, and we can talk to you more about that.
Awesome. So if they want to get connected with that Zoom group, they can find you at Real Estate Inspired on Facebook, right? Is that a pretty good way just to kind of get connected with you and start watching your role plays?
For sure. That's where the live role plays are hosted. That's a real estate group that's specifically for real estate agents to share ideas and exchange. And then if you Google me, Nichole with an H, LaVigne, my name's on the screen, you can find me. And we're on YouTube too. All those role plays are on recorded on my YouTube channel as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for inviting everyone to those amazing resources. Thank you for joining us today, Nichole. It's been an amazing conversation. We're going to have you back on, maybe even get you on and collaborate on some live prospecting, on some role play on Facebook or something. I think that would be a lot of fun and super valuable to both of our audiences. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to our audience for joining us. Again, please like and subscribe and follow us on YouTube, on Facebook. Go check out Nichole's Facebook, Real Estate Inspired. We'll link that in the descriptions here. And I think that about does it for us today. Nichole, thank you. It was so nice to meet you and have you on.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. And to everyone else, we will see you next Thursday, same time, same place, 1:30 Mountain Time here on the REDX Podcast. Talk to you later.